Good morning. If you're just joining us, we're going to get started in just a couple of moments with our webinar for today. All right, and if you're just jumping on, we'll get started in just a moment. We're going to let a few more people get into the webinar, and then we'll get underway.
Excellent. Would you like to use the AI song for your hold music? It's a good one. It's a funky one.
Yeah,
Let
feel
me,
feel
yeah.
free
All
to
right.
turn that up, Luke.
All right. Let's do it. So if you're jumping in, this is a song I made before jumping on the webinar today. Oh, one moment. I'm just gonna have to share there because actually, you know what? That won't work that well because you're sharing your slides. But we'll do it another time. We'll do it later. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll build up the anticipation for it. So you're hearing from our speaker, Luke Ryan, who will be speaking in just a few moments. And I want to welcome everyone. This is another part of our AI webinar series that we're doing each month here at the Greater New Haven and Quinnipiac Chambers of Commerce. So welcome. Today, AI Empowerment and Strategies webinar. Some of the key takeaways we're looking for: explore how AI is evolving and impacting the real world and how we do business. We're going to get some live demonstrations, including the song, and participate in some interactive examples. And we'll take questions and answers at the very end of the program as well. But feel free to put those in the chat, and then we'll finish up just before 11 o'clock and leave some time to take live Q&A as well. With that, I want to welcome Luke Ryan, who is Director of CTV and AI for JamLoop. And Luke, welcome, and thank you so much for doing this.
Excellent. Well, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Garrett. Thank you very much, Mackenzie. Really looking forward to the discussion today. So I'll be jumping in here. I'm going to first start us off with an overview of AI big picture and the impact on different strategies and workflows that we can implement in our daily lives. And then we'll go into some interactive demos as well. And of course, I'll introduce myself and a little bit of my background too as we do that. So just want to make sure that this looks good for everybody. All good? Garrett, Mackenzie, just want to make sure. Yep. All right.
All good.
Leave it. Perfect. Excellent. And this also, there's a QR code here in the deck. So that's totally up to you. But if you'd like to connect on LinkedIn, that goes directly to my LinkedIn as well, too. So we're going to be talking about AI empowerment for business leaders. So first, we're going to start off with a quick poll, and we can do this via the chat, or if Mackenzie and Garrett, if you wanted to call out anyone's feedback here. Who remembers a time before cell phones when we conducted business? I'm assuming most of us here. And what about email? And big picture, I'm assuming with that, there was also some times where you sync your watches and get together by the fountain when you were younger and have to, be able to get there before the bus took off and you got left behind at the mall, or is that just me? So I kind of remember that just as a very pivotal moment in childhood there. And because I come from an interesting little micro generation, it's between 1977 and 1983 called the Zennials. We're between the Gen X and Millennials. What makes us unique is that we're that kind of analog to digital generation. So we saw what life was like before the real kind of hockey stick growth of exponential technologies and computers in our homes. And with that, I think it makes us a pretty good translator in micro generation as well, too. So my goal is going to be to help demystify a lot of the different things in the AI world, but more so just to make it so it's impactful and powerful for you and your business. So I think we all kind of feel this. Of course, we have the .com, the rise of smartphones, the internet, but this feels different. So that hockey stick growth of exponential technologies, especially with the infusion of AI into every other aspect of business and life, is just feeling a lot faster, and rightfully so. And with that, myself, again, I'm Luke Ryan. I'm a bit of a mad scientist, so this is a little home studio action there. I happen to, use every tool I can to help both myself, my clients, and anyone that I really come in contact with, and how to use these tools most efficiently for your business life. So I call my chief of staff Larry. It's just a fun name that basically is a combination of different AI tools I use regularly. You're probably very familiar with ChatGPT, very familiar with Gemini and Perplexity as well too. We'll go into those and we'll go into a couple custom workflows that'll be really useful for you for multiple different use cases. And with that, having a chief of staff, it's always calm and curious. It's never tired. It's able to really help you with most every aspect of both your business life as well as your personal life. So as we dive into it, just wanted to reintroduce myself. From a background perspective, I've been in the media and marketing space for a little over 20 years. I've been a trainer as well as a media sales strategist and seller. I've been the advisor to both the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, to the commissioner, as well as I helped the former police commissioner of Boston with his Senate testimony on the topic of artificial intelligence before the Homeland Security Subcommittee. Pretty interesting experience there on my end, and I loved it. And then with that, I also host a few different shows on technology as well as on nonprofit kind of do-goodery. So again, if you'd like to connect, there's a QR code there. Feel free to, and would love to help in any way I can. And then big picture, my parent company, JamLoop, as part of my role, it is a hybrid role in the sense of I help with connected TV strategies for marketing and media. The purpose of today, though, is going to be on the AI side, and that's where I help develop custom workflows, both for our company as well as other companies, just so they can kind of use the tools in the most effective way possible to level up both their personal usage, but also for your business as well, too. This is just a nice letter that I received from DESE, which is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in Massachusetts. So with that, here's a fun video too. Actually, you know what?
I'm definitely somebody that tries.
Sorry, real quick. I'll just go back and just reshare there. My apologies. I did not click share sound. Here we are.
I'm definitely somebody that tries like a mad scientist to figure out what's next and helps bring that to others as well. My name is Luke. I'm going to be your surf instructor today as we ride the AI wave. I think about myself in that way because this is a innovation wave. This is a wave that we're all a part of together. AI is an accelerant for so many different types of business that's out there. I've trained a little over 500 individuals on generative AI. I've also helped the former police commissioner of Boston, the Senate testimony for the Homeland Security Subcommittee, helping out the commissioner of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. I became his personal AI advisor. With AI, there is a lot of concern over job displacement. There is a lot of concern over, leveling up, keeping up with the pace. But in a big picture sense, we're all adaptable. When you have this innovation wave all around, what do we do? Some folks, they'll kind of put up their hand and try to stop the wave. And this also goes for businesses. Others will put their head in the sand and pretend like it doesn't exist. It's sci-fi, it's mumbo jumbo. But I think that's getting a little more tricky nowadays because now we are seeing it in our day-to-day lives. And others, and I would assume all of us are kind of on that boat, we're surfers. We're surfing it together. And we might be starting at different points, but it's going to be a wild ride. And I hope to be your surf instructor along the way.
Excellent. So with that, while I do speak on the topic, I'm also just a dad of 3 young kiddos. And, I do completely realize and recognize that this is in some ways overwhelming in terms of the amount of different changes that are happening and also to what it means big picture for both ourselves, for business, for society, for some of the things you see in the news related to job displacement. So very much living kind of the day-to-day life, just like I'm sure all of you are as well too. And with that comes, of course, the addiction to screens and devices. And of course, now with the infusion of AI and agents, it's just going to be that much more impactful in terms of technology in our lives. So today, my promise to you is that we're going to find a starting point here. We're going to build confidence together, and then we're going to equip you for the journey ahead. So we're going to talk a little bit about the innovation wave. It's just a big picture way of looking at what's happening in both the business world as well as societal impact of AI's empowerment there. And then also a little bit about AI guidance and a discussion, some of the tools and workflows that will work really well for us, as well as a hands-on workshop and demo. And then, along the way, I'd love to have questions too. So Mackenzie or Garrett, if there's any questions that you see in the chat, I won't be able to see it while I'm presenting, but feel free to throw them out and I'll just answer them as best as I can as well. This is more of an interactive question. I know everyone's kind of on mute there, but if you want to in the chat, feel free to add in where are you right now in terms of your take on AI? Do you feel that you're excited about it? Do you feel that you're overwhelmed? Are you actively avoiding it? Curious but cautious? And really, big picture, all of those answers are valid. So my kids definitely make fun of me a lot in a very good way, rightfully so, because I have a BFF, and as I mentioned there, I call it Larry as my chief of staff, and Larry and I are kind of chatting throughout the day. I even before this, I helped. He helped me, meaning the tools in general, with some of the preparation and some of the different things we'll be able to jump into as we go into the demos and explorations. And with that, my kids always ask me what it's like back in the 1900s, as if I was like kind of pushing a big hoop with a stick or, kind of drinking sweet tea. Because for them, they grew up, as digital natives. They grew up in a world where, my 4-year-old, for instance, is asking, hey, can you put the VR headset on and let me play, virtually in these like incredible worlds and things that I didn't definitely grow up with. I'm sure many of you are in the same boat too. So we're going to dive in. This is a great quote by the CEO of Google and Alphabet, Sundar Pichai. AI is one of the most profound things we're working on as humanity. It's more profound than fire and electricity. It's a big quote. This is a big topic, and as you can tell in both the news and also in your own personal life, there's a tremendous amount of geopolitical challenges related to this growth, and institutions. And with that, it's a sea change. So this coming wave here, we're in the midst of it ourselves right now. But really, what I want to focus on is just how do we adapt in this exponential growth and surf ahead. So I use that surfing analogy a lot just because I think it's a good way to look at this, because as human beings, we're thought to think linearly, but we're living in an exponential world. So with that, there's a great quote by Jensen of NVIDIA. AI will be the most transformative technology of the 21st century, and it'll affect every industry and aspect of our lives. And as I said in that video that you saw earlier, many folks and businesses will try and put up their hands and stop that wave. Others will put their head in the sand. But those brave souls, and I'm sure you're all part of this as well, we're surfing it. We're trying to figure it out in real time. And it's just that middle of that historic shift. We're moving at exponential speed. Markets are moving faster. Customers expect more, and the teams are stretched thin. But ultimately, if you get to that flow state of using the tools effectively, both for yourself and for your business, it can feel great. These are two pictures, both of Fifth Avenue, New York. So in 1900, this was on the left side there, spot the automobile. It was horse-drawn carriages everywhere the eye could see. And then just within 13 years, we're now in the automobile age, and no horse to be found, basically. With that, there was a lot of disruption. There was a lot of challenges thinking about, what is this going to do to the horse-drawn carriage industry? But of course, that jettisoned in the automobile industry and all the different jobs there as well too. And just like anything, we're very adaptable. So I do feel that that's one of our strongest things as humanity, and how I like to help others as well too, is that empowerment aspect. So when you think of AI, there's, in the generative AI sense, there's voice, vision, text, image, document analysis. These are all different tools for multimodal AIs that you can work with. So you can speak in natural language. You can have it speak back to you. You can then jump into using, say, your smartphone or other devices, and having it understand both images as well as video. And then there's also the brainstorming co-pilot aspect to it. So being able to generate ideas and create content. And then some of the bigger use cases that once you start unlocking it in terms of bringing in your own documents, of course, using staying within safety guardrails there, but being able to synthesize new documents off of that is really, really effective and useful too. Big picture around the world, chat dominates in terms of personal AI usage. It's roughly 80% of all of our usage. Perplexity being second to that, then Copilot and Gemini. Claude is also you hear the term, the company Anthropic. That's what Claude's model is as well. And from a corporate usage standpoint, actually Anthropic, which is the Claude model there, is actually in the lead now in terms of corporate adoption. So this is another chart here that I think is interesting for the business community. When I look at it, I look at, what's the best way to create a digital chief of staff? Being able to effectively train these models on your own use cases, so you have a research assistant, that strategy co-pilot, that anchor to be able to help you with both presentations and idea synthesis. So we're going to jump into that in the demo in a few minutes here. And really, big picture, it's like having an expert with you at all times across all fields. So it's a predictive pattern engine, extremely capable, and also it's very confident in its answers. But as we all know, there's also issues with hallucinations. So it means, big picture, that we need to make sure that we're having your kind of that human AI human sandwich, where you're starting with the human prompting and overall strategy. AI might do a lot of the work there on the middle part, and then on the back end, you're making sure that you're refining it, as well as taking that content and making sure it's checked factually as well too. Some of the guardrails to kind of take into account: privacy. You don't want to put anything that's confidential, of course, in there. There are ways to turn off at certain paid investment levels within the tools the ability for it to train on your data, which is important too. And then there's also enterprise tools as well too that are important, especially for company use cases. And as we mentioned there, accuracy. So that's basically around the security, the hallucination issues, and then judgment, of course, making sure that you have that human judgment throughout. Prompting is a term that you've probably heard regularly used in this space. Here's a few different prompt frameworks that are very useful. That first one there is one I use regularly, which is role, task, and format. So giving it a unique role, what that task would be, and then what the format would be. That just helps refine and get better output out of the tools as well. And here's just another quick guide as well too. I use this 80/20 principle pretty regularly. That's the number 7 in the bottom left corner, especially if I want to learn a new topic. So teaching me about a particular topic, identify and share the most important 20% of learnings from this topic that will help me understand 80% of it. It's a great way to summarize a complex topic and then be able to, of course, ask follow-up questions. So very useful. A few things for the business owners here. And also just in terms of just busy professionals too. We can use them for a lot of different things. We can use them to create standard operating procedures, building presentations, which is what we'll look at too. You can use it for drafting policies, and really it's just a sandbox to experiment, refine, and improve. So we're going to work on a workflow in just a few minutes here of the demos. I call it my precious because it's really, in my opinion, the one workflow to rule them all. That's Gollum from Lord of the Rings there, or Schmeagol, I think is the character's name. And some of those tools we're going to explore are going to be frontier models like ChatGPT, Gemini. Those will be the primary two that I'm also going to work in Perplexity too. We'll talk about deep research and look at Gamma AI as a presentation creation platform. And then also Notebook LM, which I've already pre-built for you as well too. Those, if you dive into those, it's where I live a lot. I'm using one tool off of the other, and it's just so powerful for so many different both personal and professional use cases. So I'll tell you a little bit about each of them, and then we'll dive into it. So first is deep research. Deep research is the ability for the AI models to also work as agents and go out and research on your behalf on any topic. It's not like a quick prompt and response. It's actually you're giving it a longer instructions, and it's going to maybe even ask you clarification questions. And it could take anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes to come back. But it's when it comes back, it's going to be cited. It'll be a deep dive report. You can use this for learning about news in your industry, trends, deep dives. I'm using it all the time. The free versions of the models only have a certain number of use cases. The paid versions, it's many more use cases as well. But deep research is one. If you haven't used it yet, it is incredibly powerful for business. And then here's Gemini and also others, and just in terms of the explanation of what it is. Then we're going to dive into Gamma AI, and Gamma AI is where we can take some of that deep research and then synthesize it into brand collateral, decks, or really any external needs that you want to have for creating documentation off of that deep research, or really just off of any topic that you want to. But you can have it be on brand, and you don't have to spend hours and hours building a PowerPoint or a Keynote or a Google Slides deck anymore. I'm living in Gamma pretty regularly, and I'm cranking out a lot of different things throughout my day. And you can do it with just a simple text prompt, or you can even bring in other documentation and build it around your own brand and workflow too. And each of those have a QR code too, so it'll go right to, when you have the deck, go right to those particular sources too. And then Notebook LM is one of my absolute favorites. It's probably my actual favorite tool outside of the frontier models. It's under the Google umbrella. So when you use Gemini, you'll get access to Notebook LM. I look at it like a 24/7 second brain. If you populate it with those sources, and once we dive into it, you'll get a better understanding of how to use it. But you can create podcasts, videos, summaries, different quizzes, documentation. It's just a really, really powerful platform. So, big picture, we're going to dive into a live demo here, and then we can come back. All right. And was that okay, Mackenzie and Garrett? It's hard for me to know exactly interactions there and how it sounds, but hopefully that looked okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, excellent. All right, so
there is a question in the Q&A if you want to answer it now, or if
sure,
you
yeah,
want
let
to
me
wait
look.
till the
Yeah.
end.
Oh no, let's do it now. Sorry, I'm not able to see the chat when I was presenting there. Would you mind reading it to me? I don't see it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it says, why are businesses more likely to use Claude rather than ChatGPT?
My understanding there is security. Is that AI safety and security is at the forefront of what Anthropic's mission is. You're probably seeing in the news a lot where I think it's the Pentagon most recently is actually in a bit of a battle with Anthropic. And that's really over different things that they have very close to them in terms of what they want to be, what they want the tools to be used for. And my understanding is that they are very focused on safety and security first. And from an enterprise adoption standpoint, while a lot of us are very used to using chat, that's what a lot of the enterprise companies have leaned into. I know that the Department of Defense signed on with Gemini, which is Google, as well as Anthropic, and I think X as well too. But there isn't one right answer to it, but that's just my understanding of why that's taking the leadership path there or placement. Were there any other questions in the chat, Mackenzie?
Nope, that was the only one so far.
Okay. Oh, great. Excellent. So let me start with what I did already, and then we can also, if anybody wants to even tell me a particular business they own or they're connected to, we could do that type of deep dive too. So this is a starting of a prompt here for deep research. In this case, I used the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce website, but then also talked it through in terms of, what do I want to learn? I want to have, what does it look like for economic ecosystem impact? What are some of the value propositions within that ecosystem, competitors, positioning, that type of thing. So you can really use this for any type of business, but it's a great deep dive that, we can use this type of prompt and then customize it to any business here, where it's going to be able to crawl all these different pages and other sources as well too. What you want to have for output as well, and then what that research plan is step by step. So this was actually written by AI, but with my guidance to begin with, and then of course some different sources that I gave it as well too. So that's just the prompt. It just allows you to basically copy that and put it right into different tools. Like in this case, this is chat, and then all you would do is basically press the plus sign here, click on deep research, paste that right in there, which would be this, for instance, and then it's going to now, in this case, took 10 minutes. It cited 57 different websites or sources, and it did it over 239 searches. And then that took probably about 12 to 15 minutes. But what comes out of that is pretty extensive. I mean, it's basically, a deep dive that goes really far into things, depending on what the topic is. I do the same thing. You don't have to do it this way, but this is what I like to do. If I'm already going to be doing a deep research report, I might as well do that across 3 different models, just like you're sending out 3 different research teams on your behalf. So in this case, the Greater New Haven Chamber prompt there, but then this is using the tool Perplexity. And Perplexity is kind of like if Google and ChatGPT had a baby. It's grounded in the sources. It's built specifically for that. It's one of the tools I use most regularly throughout my day. And then Gemini is Google's model. And again, that's another big deep research report off of that same prompt. So what I do with those is I'll typically bring them together. And let's say Notebook LM, we'll start with that. So I brought those in as sources to Notebook. The way Notebook works, if we were to create a new one from scratch, this is an example of creating one from scratch. It's only going to reference the sources that you give it. So think about it like you have a frontier model in AI that's specifically trained on just the sources you give it. You can give it a lot. You can give it, I think, up to 1 million words per source and up to 300 sources per notebook. Um, it could be a second brain for your business, and you can make it so that it's shareable within the company. It's private and secure, especially if you have those like enterprise level accounts. So with that, you can grab web sources, you can have it do deep research itself. You could upload different sources. So it'll take PDFs, documents, images, audio files. It takes a tremendous amount of different sources there. You can also include YouTube videos as well as websites, anything from Google Drive or just copied and pasted text. So just going back a step to what we already have made. These are the sources I brought in, which was the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce website, as well as multiple different deep research reports. And now I can ask it any questions off of those. So after those 35 pages, I could say, what are the key benefits, of being a chamber member? And then you'll see that it'll actually reference what source it used to give you that answer. So you're not going to have a real risk of hallucination there. So in this case, the answer here, oops, sorry, it's still doing it. It's going to synthesize an answer for you there. Keeps jumping up to the top. And once that's done, I'll be able to show you how that works. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So here we are. Okay. So you've got, I'm not sure why it keeps jumping up ahead of there. So cost saving insurance products, and then it'll tell you where that source came from. And it lists exactly where that's from. Networking, community connections, advocacy, and public policy. You can use it for so many different use cases on your own business, but also on certain research as well. So that's the chat feature here. And then on the studio side, this is where you actually can do some pretty creative things as well too. So using these same sources, I can create a video explainer. So we'll play that for a second.
Today, we're diving into a really fascinating story about economic growth. It's about a city that's absolutely booming, and at the very heart of it all is a 232-year-old organization that had to kind of rediscover its own power just to keep up. First, let's just talk about the boom. Get this number, 903%. That's the mind-blowing increase in passenger traffic at the local airport, Tweed, New Haven, since just 2019.
So this can create for you, based off of your sources, a downloadable video, like an explainer video. You can even give it instructions on how you want that video to come out. And again, this is basically free or just with a light paid subscription, you can get some other kind of customization to it. Another aspect to it is custom podcasts. You've probably seen these maybe on YouTube or social media as well too. But what a lot of folks don't know is that you can make them interactive. So we'll do the interactive mode here, just as an example.
Okay, so I have to be completely honest with you right out of the gate here. When we first put today's topic on the slate, I definitely rolled my eyes a little bit.
You weren't exactly thrilled.
I mean, oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? It's Luke here. I'm here with Garrett and Mackenzie of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. We're on a webinar right now and wanted to learn more about the chamber itself, the benefits to the members, and just big picture, how is AI going to be able to help their business empowerment?
Hello, Luke and Garrett McKenzie.
That is fantastic. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you so much for listening in while you're literally running a webinar.
That is next level multitasking. We love it.
And you just hit on the core tension of the whole episode.
How does a 232-year-old organization deal with AI?
Exactly. You mentioned Garrett. Garrett Sheenan is the president and CEO of the chamber.
And he's working hard to make sure this isn't dusty.
And AI is already impacting the Greater New Haven economy.
We saw in the source material that...
Pretty cool, right? I mean, that was another aha moment for me was, oh, wow, now I can actually learn a topic in podcast format and make it interactive where I could be driving, for instance, and I could learn about quantum physics in a digestible format. I think it's super cool. I use it all the time. I even use it for, strategy analysis of, in my case, media strategies, where I'll upload the strategy and then I'll find little nuggets of knowledge and different ways of presenting, because I can take that transcript of the audio file there and use that for different use cases. You could also even instruct it to say, hey, one of you, instead of being two podcast hosts, one of you is a potential client, the other one is a potential provider of a product or service, have a discussion. One present objections, the other one have responses. It's a really good sales training tool too. I'll show you a few more things here in Notebook LM. So these are all part of the studio here. So you can basically create, in this case, say a presentation deck, right within there. Click right through that. You can also create summary briefs, quizzes, data files, infographics. It's endless use cases, really. I use it all the time. I absolutely love it. So another tool is actually going to be Gamma. Gamma would be a presentation creation platform. I use this very regularly, as you can tell by all of these different decks I've created here. It's kind of replaced PowerPoint for me / Apple's Keynote. But in this case, what I might want to do is import a file, because I already have a few that I've made for the deep research here. So this might be the positioning of the strategic intelligence for the Greater New Haven Chamber. I upload that. And this will just take 1 minute here. And then from here, once we're in the kind of customization part of it, if I wanted to, I could have uploaded, say, a PowerPoint deck and had that be, so I'll just make it into a document. That looks pretty good too. I could then use that to have a particular theme, or I could use one of the custom themes that they've already made. So I'll just grab one real quick here as an example. There we are. And then from there, I can then choose, do I want AI images, accent images? I'll just use accent images as an example. And then how many slides do I want to have? I'll just say 10, just as an example to show you that. And then it's going to then take what would be a 30+ page deck and turn it into a digestible 10-page document within the brand and the theme there that you're going for. So incredibly useful too. Again, I'm using this regularly throughout my day so that I can get quick research in a presentable format, or maybe just a way to take marketing, sales collateral, whatever it might be for a business, and help them rework that as well too. So it's pretty neat. It basically creates a full deck for you very quickly. Were there any other questions, Mackenzie or Garrett, that came in through the chat?
Yes, there are 3.
Okay.
So 2 of them are just asking if attendees will have access to the recording and the slides after the presentation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Yeah, no problem at all. I'll send over the PDF of the deck there, and happy to of course via LinkedIn help answer any questions too. And I think we'll be recording as well, or already are recording.
And then the other question is, just to confirm, Notebook LM is closed. If you upload client data, it won't be shared anywhere.
If you have the enterprise account of Gemini, then that answer is yes. I do not know about the free version. I'm sure we could look that up, but I know that under the enterprise level, like a few of my previous companies were enterprise users of Gemini, and everything was vetted by our security team to make sure that that was something we could use with internal company information.
And then we have just had one more come in. It says, are the slides going to be downloadable so they can be modified in PowerPoint?
I probably could. Yeah. I mean, I usually export it as a PDF, but if you want to, I can export it as a PowerPoint. I built it in Keynote, so just a heads up. If it comes out funky and the formatting looks off, I apologize in advance. It's just, I use Apple. I'm an Apple guy. So I'm happy to do that, though. I can send you both the PowerPoint, the Keynote, the PDF. No problem at all. I just can't promise that the formatting is going to look right, because sometimes when you go from Apple to PowerPoint and back, it kind of looks a little funky.
Perfect. Then we had another one come in.
Sure, please.
So it says, I use free ChatGPT. What can you expect to pay for AI so you have secure interactions?
Good question. So I'll just pull up chat right now, because I'll show you a couple little unlocks on the paid version. And you don't have to be like me in terms of like the crazy amount of AI subscriptions that I have, but I'll show you a few things just within chat that are going to be some cool unlocks that a lot of folks may not know. I have the pro version, which is the $200 a month version. I don't think that that's something that the average person needs regularly, but even the $20 a month version is definitely very useful. But when you go in and you see the bottom left corner here, that's my account. I go under, I believe it's personalization, and then I go under data controls. There's a setting here that says improve the model for everyone. And what that means is allow your content to be used to train our models, which makes ChatGPT better for you and everyone who uses it. We take steps to protect your privacy. Personally, I turn that off. That's up to you, but that would be one way to do it. I don't know if you can turn that off if you have a free account. So that would be one difference there is once you step up to the paid one, you can then turn off the ability for it to train on your information. So that's one of the first unlocks I'd look at. The other one, too, under personalization, is that you can go in and you can basically create custom instructions. So having it learn more about you and what you're all about, you basically can work with the tools to write that for you, and then that way it has a lot more frame of reference and is so much more useful. And of course, turning on memory is super important too, at least in my opinion, because then you can have the ability to start any new chat and pick off where you left off. And it just has almost near perfect memory related to all your conversations that you've had previously. So those are a few unlocks. We could dive into what are GPTs, what are projects, if that's helpful in any way. A couple other things that are really wild are like the cutting edge, like agents as well too. So actually, this might be a fun one for a few minutes here. When you click on the plus sign, this is on the paid side. You can click on agent mode, and agent mode is the fusion of deep research, but also having the AI be able to open up its own browser and use mouse and keyboard. The first time I saw this, I was pretty darn impressed. So as an example, I could say, I'd like to make beef Wellington. And you find the recipe and add it to an Instacart. You know, so as an example, there, it can then open up a browser, find the recipe, and start adding those items to your Instacart. Where that's going to go next in the future is whether or not you trust it to have your credit card, that type of thing. I wouldn't probably go that direction yet, but that's really where a lot of business is going to be conducted is speaking into your AI agent and having it go and take action on your behalf. Open up its own browser, take almost like having a virtual assistant that it controls anything you can do digitally. Mouse and keyboard, open up different websites, fill in forms, that type of thing. It opens up a number of different security issues too. So I wouldn't say it's fully there yet, but when you see it in action, and then you're able to say, for instance, help it have it help you book travel and that type of thing, it's pretty interesting. Were there any other questions that came up, Mackenzie, as well?
Yes, there is one more. It says, if you want to only pay for one AI subscription, what would you recommend for a small business user?
I would say Gemini. That's just me personally, just because Notebook LM is so darn powerful. That's probably the one I'd lean into most. From a personal usage standpoint, I probably use chat the most just because I've had years of conversations and so much memory in there. So that is kind of my default for like a conversational AI assistant. But when it comes to like my business use cases, I probably use Gemini the most. So that would be my take personally. There's no right answer too. That's just my take. And then as you can tell, it's going into Instacart, but for instance, it's probably going to tell me, hey, you got to log in, which in this case, it's probably going to push it right back to me and say, take over. And then I could, for instance, load my personal information of logging into Instacart there. And then it can start filling my cart, which I won't do right now, but that's just kind of, where that's all headed to. Pretty wild. Any other questions on Mackenzie in the chat, Jim?
That was the last one as of now.
Oh, okay. So Garrett, happy to have like maybe like a business discussion if that would work best for you. I can go further into any of the tools too and show different use cases. Kind of a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I think why don't we jump into the kind of business use case, and then we'll keep firing away questions, and we can take those in.
Excellent. So let's start with this then. How about doing that same process I did? I know I moved pretty fast there. Let's do that from the start for a different business. So is there anyone on the webinar now that wanted to, say, for instance, pop their URL into the chat, and then I can then start a deep research prompt of that and then show you each of those steps so that you could, say, for instance, have a competitive analysis and a social listening analysis of your business, or we could do a deep dive on a particular topic that's of interest. So, whatever works best for you. There's endless use cases.
Anyone want to volunteer? You can just pop your company name in the chat. We can get underway, or if you want to put in a topic, and then we'll run with that.
Sure.
We also can have people raise their hands if they'd like to. And then I can just unmute someone if they'd like to speak.
Sounds good.
Oh, and Mackenzie, it's saying chat's disabled. But we do have one question here. What is the standard for bad leads in an adult education lead generation program?
What is the standard for bad leads, was it, in an adult education? I'm not sure if I understand the question exactly.
So if you generate 100 leads, but 10% are not valid, is that normal?
Oh, so you're basically using AI to scrape the internet to find leads for you, and you're finding that some of them are hallucinated. I'm assuming that's what the question is. Is that right? Oh, hey, I know you.
Yeah, I
Right, so we'll
allowed
let
them
her.
to
That's actually someone I know very well. How you doing, Andrea?
There you go. I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm being a pest, but this is a real case scenario. And Luke, we're huge fans of yours, so this
Oh,
is
thank
a
you.
shout out. But we're looking at our lead performance, lead generation performance over the course of a 2-year period of time. And saying in a conversation between the marketing admissions, saying, well, okay, if you generated 100 leads and 10 were not good leads, they were invalid, bad leads, couldn't follow up, whatever. Is that good or is that bad? So if I went out and used ChatGPT to ask that question to find out what's the standard in lead generation for adult education, what would be the standard one would expect for leads that are not valid, right? So I'm trying to assess the performance of a program. What would I ask?
That's a great question. Okay, so then let's create a deep research prompt to learn about best practices and say lead. How would you phrase it, Andrea? What do you think in terms of?
I would say what is the what percentage of a lead generated would be good leads that you could actually follow up on? Boy, I don't know if I could throw any more words in there, but what percentage of leads generated it would be good leads, valid leads? There you go. As a benchmark in higher education. So looking at,
sorry,
for me,
I'll add that to it.
particularly looking at adult education, but anybody could ask this question.
Okay, refine this to. All right, so I'll just stop that and then we'll redo that. So the first thing I would do is start with getting to a point where you feel comfortable of what the deep research prompt is that on track? Because if you start creating off of that, then you have to go back and iterate. So I usually kind of look at it and go, okay, until I get to a point and I say, yep, that's right, then I typically don't move on to the creation portion. So in this case, this deep research prompt is you're a higher education enrollment marketing strategist and performance analytics researcher. Your task is to produce a research-backed benchmarking report on inquiry quality, application conversion, and enrollment yields across undergraduate, graduating, and continuing education programs. Determine what percentage of generated inquiries are considered valid and qualified in higher education marketing, and define best practices for improving inquiry to enrollment conversion rates. Is that fair?
Yep.
That sounds like it, right? Okay.
Yep.
So that in that case, it's going to also generate on its own different, benchmarks that it's going to see, okay, what are the percentage of inquiries that are valid? What are the percentage of inquiries that meet admission criteria? Still on track. Look good.
Yep.
Channel performance benchmarks. That's another thing that it basically just added in there, but that would make sense to me. What's the average and high performance benchmarks by channel?
Yep.
Funnel conversion benchmarks.
Yep.
What impacts lead quality to higher ed? Systems that improve valid inquiry rates. So it's going deep on this, and that's
Yep.
just the prompt itself. So.
And so let me ask this question
Mhm.
because I'm familiar with you. Everyone else might not be. So is it giving this level of specificity because you know me, and you've looked for this before, or because the way you asked the prompt? Is it do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, it's the prompt, but it's more specifically asking, can you create a deep research prompt specifically for that? It's going to know by saying deep research. You're not just
Mhm.
asking for just a quick back and forth. You're asking it for to go deep on this. It may be taking into account that I've done this a million times already. So it may be saying, okay, he likes this type of format. And it also is throwing in a few extra things at the end here is, oh, would you like this for the chamber webinar? Oh, is this actually for JamLoop? Because it knows a little bit about me
Yes.
there, for instance. But I'd say overall, if you did this, it would probably be pretty similar from your side. And then what I would do from here is basically just start a new chat. I'd go into deep research. That's the most important part there. Click right on that. Paste right in. And then again, that's your deep research prompt here. Run with it. And then while that's going, because this one will just kind of start on its own, chat used to actually ask you a series of questions, but it doesn't do that anymore. And then if you wanted to go into, say, perplexity, I use perplexity a lot. I could do two versions. I'm going to do one that's in deep research because that's going to take a while. And then I'll actually open up another perplexity and I'll just do it without the deep research just so you can see how quickly it comes back to you too.
Right.
And then,
So for anyone in any sort of business, the prompt is everything, right? How you ask the question is everything. But I would imagine, just as I'm using this to try and assess marketing programs, someone also might use questions like this to do some revenue benchmarking or budgeting or sales goal setting, all of that.
Exactly right. Yeah, the SWOT analysis. Yeah, a great one is social listening related to your brand perception in the market, for instance. So, being that you're in the higher education world, you could have it listen to all the Reddit forums and any accessible social media posts and that type of thing, and say what's being said about the school and what are they loving and what are they saying. Why they chose a particular path. So this is the quick one from Perplexity that just came back. So here's your higher education lead quality benchmarks and best practices. Average cost per inquiry in higher ed is $140, and average cost per enrolled student is roughly $3,000. Inquiry to application rates, application addition. So I think what you were looking for though is just funnel conversion. Let's see, online learners. Helpful or a little off track? What do you think? I'm not seeing exactly what you're looking for.
Helpful.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Just so that everyone else kind of understands the context of why I would ask a question like this, as we're determining, are the marketing programs working, right? Like that's always between sales and marketing, if you will, although our admission folks and our, nobody likes me to use that phrase. Is it working? Are we spending the right amount of money on the right things? Are we getting the return we're looking for? And for everyone who's trying to market with a small amount of dollars, where should I be spending them? So I think any business could ask those questions.
And then the other piece to that too, Andrea, is you can ask follow-up questions too. So once you have this, you can say, actually, hey, can you go deeper on this? Can you go deeper on that? And you can have a whole interactive discussion. And then you can even copy and paste the entire thread and then bring that right back through, say, for instance, Gamma, and then builds a presentation ready document that you could use for a board meeting or a leadership meeting, where you can have it backed by the research that you've conducted specifically on a particular question that got asked in a previous meeting. It's another pretty fun use case.
Thanks, Luke.
Of course, thank you. Say hi to everybody. It's awesome to see you. And then I think, Gary, you said right around 1050, 2 or so, you wanted to go into some specific business questions as well, too.
Yeah, well, we are wide open for questions. I know we've been taking them throughout, but we're definitely getting close to the end here. So,
Okay.
other questions that people have, and we can still. I think that was a good example of pursuing that business case. But other either topics or your own business that people are looking for, please let us know. There's one question here: does it footnote sites where the information came from?
Yes, in the sense of right now we're in perplexity. So every one of these is highlighted to where that source is. So this says, say, for instance, is from Education Dynamics, key findings for the 2025 Landscape for Higher Education report. This one's from Element 451. There's another one as well, too. But actually, when you're at the bottom of your response here, you just click on 29 sources. It'll tell you exactly which ones it's pulling from, which is pretty neat. Also, when you have your deep research report, once that's done, it'll give you like a whole bibliography that it pulled everything from as well, too. But I'd say if you're just using, say, the free version and you're just having a back and forth discussion, I don't know how accurate a lot of the sourcing is for that. That's probably where you're going to have the biggest risk of hallucination, where it's just going to maybe make something up or not have a backed source to show why it's saying what it's saying.
Luke, another question we've gotten, and really on what you were just talking about, can you address hallucinations in AI research?
Sure, absolutely. So on my end, I've noticed, and also from researching things, the hallucination rate has gone down pretty dramatically from early time of us using the tools, even just a few years ago. When you ground it and you put specifically in your prompt how important it is that you do not have those hallucinations, that you source everything factually, and you use, say, for instance, deep research or even agent mode, giving it that extra level and having it have the ability to think and source everything, it's going to be a lot more grounded than just doing a quick, like, hey, do the deep dive on this, but you don't actually use the additional deep research little part that's in that drop down part here. So hopefully that's helpful too. I don't know the exact percentages by model. I do know that it's gone down pretty dramatically, like less than a few percent now in terms of the hallucination rate when it used to be like north of 15-20% in the beginning.
Great. Well, I don't see any more questions. We can definitely still take a few, but Luke, I'll have you just kind of wrap us up on some thoughts that you want to leave everyone with about how they really take these tools. I think we have so many people who are familiar with them, but actually incorporating them into either their daily lives or the business is still one of the challenges I know personally sometimes I deal with. You know it's out there. You want to be able to utilize it. How do you make it work for you? But this has been really informational for all of us. But some final thoughts from you.
You're not going to break anything. I mean, hopefully. So that's the way I look at it is, we're all learning this together. It is a wild, fast moving world. I think the pace of even just keeping up with the updates related to the tools you use regularly is like a full-time job. But we're all going through it. So like overwhelm is the standard now. But like, I do feel like when you get comfortable using this as a co-pilot, chief of staff, use whatever way you like to look at it, it can make things so much more efficient for your business and your personal life. Just as a side note, later today I've created a TV show that's all about empowering grassroots do-gooders. So basically I'll be the host of that, and I used AI a ton in helping prepare for this, in terms of writing guest questions, researching the show flow. There's a lot of things I have not done before, and I'm using that as like my chief of staff to be able to kind of organize everything for me. And I could be doing it when I'm walking the dog with an earpiece, and I could be doing it when I'm driving in my car. And then the more that you get comfortable having it be I always use the term chief of staff, but like a knowledge partner. It's so much more empowering to kind of live in that flow state of being able to create content off of your vision, and also just be able to understand, like, the one thing I'm working on right now that might be helpful for others too, and I can happily share this maybe on LinkedIn or in a different workflow, is how do you get it all out of your head? There's all these different to-dos that we have regularly. So how can I use these tools effectively to know, okay, if I'm in my car, then I'm not going to have access to a computer. If I'm, walking the dog, then I only have an earpiece. So if I can train it on all of my tasks that I'm working on through all my different projects, and I can say, okay, hey, let's pick up where we left off. I'm walking the dog right now. It's going to know that here's some things that we can talk through and create from there. Or if I'm driving the car, it might be able to, just, adjust in that way, or if in front of the computer. So that's something I'm working on right now. I haven't really seen anyone build that yet, but if I crack the code, I'll certainly share it, because I think that'd be super, super useful.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you for all the great information today. I know people are going to have more questions. They can reach out to you. We'll share the video and also the slides that we had today. So, Luke, thank you very much. And we appreciate everyone joining us today.
Excellent. Absolute pleasure, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for all.
Great.
Thanks
Have
for
a
the
great day.
opportunity.
Great weekend. Thanks.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.